What's going on YouTube? My name is Justin and welcome to another video. In this video we are going to be making one of my favorite to make desserts, and it is a snickerdoodle cookie made with brown butter topped with a little bit of vanilla bean ice cream and a triple berry compote. Before we get into the video though, I did want to say that I have the recipe that you're actually going to be seeing, but the full recipe will be down in the description below with the exact measurements for the full recipe, not the half recipe. You also do not need to make the brown butter, but I really like brown butter snickerdoodle cookies. It's something that I do make now pretty much anytime I ever make a snickerdoodle cookie. I like the brown butter flavor in the cookie compared to just regular melted butter, but that's personal preference. If you're not a big fan of that nutty flavor from the browned butter, don't brown it. No big deal. As with any time you're about to start cooking or baking, we need to start by properly washing our hands. Now for these cookies, I like using brown butter for snickerdoodle cookies. Brown butter is essentially just cooking down the butter and it starts to toast the milk solids, and you start to get that really nutty scent and flavor. And actually the scent that you get from making brown butter, it's pretty overwhelming the first time you make it. I'm just melting this over about a medium heat, and it takes about 5 minutes for the entire butter to melt and begin to toast the milk solids. It's really important to keep whisking it through at that time because you don't want it to scorch the bottom or the sides of your pan. And now after whisking it for about 4 to 5 minutes, you can see that it's starting to get browner, the milk solids are toasting, and it's really starting to develop that really nutty aroma. You don't have to use brown butter for the recipe. You can just use the same amount of butter of just regular butter, just melt it. I just like the flavor of the brown butter. And again, we're going to take a much needed coffee break after whisking for about 4 to 5 minutes. And we are going to realize that we're making cookies instead of doing our essay that's due tomorrow. Now that the existential crisis is ending, again, specific amounts or measurements will be down in the description below. I'd like to say, as we're about to show the vanilla extract, that I think it's incredibly important if you're going to be baking a lot to invest in getting a really high quality vanilla extract. It may still just be vanilla extract, but the actual quality of it goes a long distance in terms of flavor. And again, you don't have to make the brown butter. You can just use non-browned butter. It doesn't really matter. It's just a deeper butter flavor and it gets nuttier and it tastes better in my opinion, but you don't need to do it. Now we're going to mix the sugars, the ground cinnamon, and the salt together. You don't need to pre-mix them, but I kind of like getting that more homogeneous mixture before I add the ingredients like the brown butter like you're seeing right here, the egg, and the vanilla extract. To me, I just feel like I'm getting better distribution. It's probably just all in my head, and if it's not just all in my head, well then I guess I just have a better end product. And now I'm just whisking this together until it's homogenized before I add the baking soda and flour. You want it to get to kind of not a super thick paste, but thick enough that when you let it fall back down into the rest of the bowl, it kind of takes a second to kind of fall back into the rest of it. And once you get the desired consistency, you just add the flour and the baking soda. Then you want to mix it in by folding it with a spatula. You don't want to mix it with a whisk or anything because you don't want to try and get a ton of gluten development, so it's important to fold it. And it's also a lot cleaner than using a whisk because you don't get any of the dough stuck inside the whisk. But it's important to try and fold it as best as you can, again, to try and reduce the amount of gluten development you're getting it, because you're going to get a cakier end result in your cookie. Now once this is going to go into the fridge to chill for about 20-30 minutes, we're going to begin the berry compote. You're going to want to cook this down on about a medium to medium low heat, stirring pretty occasionally because you don't want it to scorch to the bottom at all. This is what it looks like after a few minutes of sitting there simmering and reducing. Now that our dough's chilled, I got a little ambitious with how I wanted to form the cookies. I don't recommend the way I did. I kind of flattened almost like burger patties. I don't recommend that. The end product wasn't as desirable as I had wished, but they still tasted great. Our berries now have been going for about 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes, and this is about 25 minutes of reducing. Now that all of our ingredients are done, it's now time to put butter and cinnamon sugar onto the cookies to make them real snickerdoodle cookies. You can play around with the cinnamon and sugar ratio, or you can just do bottled like McCormick cinnamon sugar. I did about 3 tablespoons of sugar to 1 tablespoon of ground cinnamon, but again, just use a pre-bottled, pre-tubed mixture. It will work just fine. And then once that has the cinnamon and sugar on it, I'm just going to top it with a nice scoop of vanilla bean ice cream. Probably my favorite ice cream. I know it's boring, but it is absolutely delicious to me. And this is where the cookie shape went a little off, as they were too thick on the pan, so the ice cream was a little too small. But as you can see here, we have this compote going on top, and it's just running off of the ice cream, and it just looks so good. And honestly, it tasted amazing. I should have let it cool down just a little bit though, because it was really hot. Despite that heat, it was absolutely delicious, and I will make it again for sure. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. I couldn't get any really nice shots of the dessert because it was a hot berry compote getting put onto ice cream, so it melted it, and so I couldn't really get any nice shots of it, but I hope it looked good for what you could see of it. It tasted delicious, absolutely amazing. I've made it before and I absolutely love it. But if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Put something out in the comment section for me and others to reply to, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I release another video. I'll see you in the next one.